So you want better communication in your relationship? Well, most of us can absolutely relate to this. A conversation that goes wrong, an interaction that goes off track in a direction that you never intended. Your words are misunderstood, or you just can't find the words or the way to get your point across. Maybe you or your partner are quick to react or defend or attack. Does communication in your relationship often seem to end up in argument? Does stuff never seem to get resolved? Maybe you feel like your partner never listens to you. Communication can be so complex. It can be hard work. In some relationships, it never seems to work. But it just doesn't have to be this way. We are all capable of communicating well, and we're all capable of resolving our conflicts, every single one of us. We just need to know how, and we need to put in the work. This channel is here to help you and your relationship or future relationship thrive. My name is Dadley-Moore. I'm a family mediator and a communication and conflict coach. And for 30 years now, I've worked with couples and families and separated parents, individuals, to help them learn to communicate better, resolve their conflicts and create positive change in their lives. Welcome to this, the first video on the channel. So where does it all start improving the communication in your relationship? Well, the finger has to point this way. It starts with an understanding that all behaviour is a form of communication. And even when you're not speaking words, your behaviour speaks for you. And then an understanding that communication or behaviour, it never happens in isolation. We all influence each other. It's actually impossible to understand one person's communication, either yours or your partner's, unless you take into account each other's communication that's involved in that event. Now, roll with me here. I will explain this to you. If you and I were to sit down and look at some of the communication that goes on between you and your partner, especially the more difficult communication, we'd very quickly get to a place where we would find that the ways in which you acted and operated, the way in which you communicated, you just wouldn't have done it that way if your partner had communicated differently to you. We would have to say, no wonder you did what you did, look at what they did. That is inescapable. What's also inescapable is the flip's true, that there's ways in which your partner acts and operates that they wouldn't be doing unless you were doing what you were doing. Now, I hope you can follow this, and it's really important that I'm clear here. You are 0% responsible for your partner's behaviour, and they are 0% responsible for yours. You are 100% responsible for your behaviour, but we all influence each other. You influence your partner's communication, theirs influences you. We are all part of the behaviour that other people give towards us. We're part of the behaviour we get from other people that we like, and we're part of the behaviour we get from other people that we don't like. We're not responsible, but we're part of it. Now, this is a good thing. This is a great thing, because if you had no influence, if you weren't part of it, there'd be absolutely nothing you could do about it. You'd be in a helpless, hopeless situation when it comes to creating change. Now, if you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comments below. I will answer. So the place to start when improving the communication in your relationship, the action to take from this learning, this new understanding, is that whenever you're involved in a situation with your partner where you're receiving communication or behaviour from them that you don't like, what I want you to do is have a look at yourself and ask, what am I doing right now? And what was I doing immediately before now? And what can I do differently? Not because you're responsible for their communication, not because you're the problem necessarily, but purely because you do have an influence on the solution. Now, the same is true when you're with your partner and you're experiencing communication from them that you do like. The thing to do is ask, what am I doing right now? And what was I doing immediately before now? And let's keep doing it. I've got to work this out, and I've got to do it more. The finger has to point this way. All too often in this world, we get lost in thinking, if only she would do that, if only he would stop doing that, if only she'd stop talking and listen, if only he'd start talking and share more. And we get stuck here. We get stuck and then we get lost. We get stuck because most of the time what we're thinking is factually true, it's accurate. If only he would share more about what was going on for him, if only she would listen more, then that would improve our relationship. And whenever we think something that's factually true, we have absolutely zero motivation to move away from it. It's true, it's a fact. So we get stuck here. And then we get lost. We get lost because there's literally nothing we can do about it. Whenever you place yourself in a position where the only way that change can happen is if someone else does it, you're now stuck and you're lost. You're helpless and hopeless, and all you can really do is hold your breath and pray and hope that your partner will change. Have you ever been here? I think we all have. It just doesn't work. If you want something to change, the only thing you can do is change what you're doing, what you're thinking, and your attitude. The finger has to point this way. What am I doing, and what can I do differently? Now, what we don't know is that when you do something different, what the difference you create will be. What we do know is that if you keep doing the same, if you don't do anything different, you can almost guarantee that everything will stay the same. When nothing changes, nothing changes. And important, please, if you're living in an emotionally or physically abusive relationship, or you're frightened or unsure of your safety, please seek professional help. Through my clients, I hear success stories every week. I want him to talk more, so I've learned to talk less and leave big, long silences, and it's working. He's now talking to me. Another one, I want her to listen to me, so I've stopped talking and I've put energy into listening to her. I eventually realised that he was never going to change, so I had to change and I left him. And finally, another one, I worked with a client recently who'd get triggered when their partner talked about his family. And we spent time working on his triggers and his responses. And he stopped reacting angrily. And within a few days, his partner had stopped talking about his family in the same way. These are all examples of people choosing to do different in order to create different in their relationships. Now, whilst this is a very basic and simple concept, please don't overlook its importance or underestimate its power. This is an essential foundation building block that's required for any improvement. Start to observe yourself throughout the day. Which way is your finger pointing? How often is your finger pointing outward to your partner or others? This is not about who's to blame or to fault. This is about taking responsibility for the solution. It's about taking personal responsibility for the life you want to live. If you want things to change, you must change the things you are doing. So, what have you done recently in your relationship to create change? And what are you going to do? The finger has to point this way. Now, one thing you can do today to make a significant positive impact on your relationship is to increase your argument IQ. I've written a guide to help you with this. It's free. The link is in the description below. And this guide, it exposes the hidden truths of relationship arguments. Read it and you'll never look at arguing the same again. It's truly unnecessary. It's pointless. Arguing, for me, is a poison in relationships. When you argue, you harm your partner, you harm your relationship, and you harm yourself. Now, to be clear here, conflict and disagreement, they are a necessary, inevitable part of any couple relationship. Arguing is not. I find so many people trying to address arguing by focusing on the symptoms, and they wonder why the arguments keep coming and nothing they're trying is working. Now, this guide focuses on the underlying causes, the hidden causes of arguments. It's a unique approach. It's helped thousands of people level up. Again, the link's in the description below. So download your free argument upgrade now. And also, please leave me any stories in the comments below. Ask questions, I will answer them. Like and subscribe to the channel if you want to be up to date with the weekly videos that are coming out. And if this video's got you thinking, share it with your family and friends. Not in the see you need to look at yourself sort of way, because then the point gets lost. More in the this was useful to me and it might be useful to you too sort of way. There's so much more I look forward to sharing with you in the weeks ahead. If you want something to change, if you want the communication in your relationship to improve, you have to change something you're doing. The finger, yep, has to point this way. See you in the next video. Have a great day and be kind to yourself out there.